Hey you, before the video starts, consider dropping a like, a comment, and maybe consider subscribing. This really does help the channel grow. On to the video. Hey guys, it's Bane here, back again with another account review. Today we're looking at Se1y's accounts. I believe this is treat for free in our Discord and on Twitch. I'm also doing this off of stream because, you know, I felt a little bit burnt out, not from Idleon, not from content creation necessarily, just from work. I didn't feel like I could, be that good as a streamer today, so I'm just doing these off of stream, so you guys have a little bit of content for the week to come. So hope you guys are okay with that. But also, full disclosure, I pressed start recording and I went through this entire account review, realizing it was not recorded at the very end of it. So I kind of know already what you kind of need to do. So I'm going to hit the highlights, try to keep this a little bit short to save myself some energy. But probably still going to be like a 20-30 minute account review, knowing how much I yap. So with that being said, this is going to be very targeted, very focused, very quick-ish account review, hopefully more concise to give you a lot more information. So immediately, what I would recommend is trying to do a little bit more statue grinding, specifically the villager statues and the dragon warrior statues. The levels here are relatively low. I would like to see these up at the 200s mark. Now, when it comes to dragon warrior statue farming, my biggest recommendation is actually doing a little bit of death note grinding. You're on the eclipse skull grind right now, and I don't know whether you stopped or you just recently picked it back up. This is definitely what I'd recommend you try to do and flesh out. Remember that Eclipse Skulls give you a 5% damage multi for every Eclipse Skull that you get, and that applies to everyone all the time. So getting them to 1 billion kills, just from World 3, World 4, World 5, World 6 is going to be very powerful for you to get you that damage bonus. So finish out World 3, World 4, World 5, World 6. That way you are able to get that damage bonus. Also remember that going from a lava skull, this one right here, the 100 million kill, to a billion kills gets you 10 multi-kill per tier up to 20. So it doubles the multi-kill per tier that you get. So specifically for World 5, this is very important because this affects the caverns. This will affect the Gloomy Cavern. This will affect the Golem Cavern, so you are able to get more multi-kill there. So finish out World 5 specifically so you can start grinding more Dragon Warrior statues, more Villager statues. Additionally, to that point, while you can't get Eclipse Skulls on mini bosses, or at least we don't believe so, and if you can, that's a little bit ridiculous, and I wouldn't recommend that. But try to get more multi-kill here. There are 3-4 specific bosses I see that you are able to actually get a lot more of, specifically because you have 1100 Coliseum tickets. Is Baba Yaga from the World 1 Coliseum, because it's the easiest way to do it. You have Glunko. Then you don't have to do Coliseum for this because Glunko doesn't spawn in the Coliseum. It's specifically going active AFK with your Deathbringer on the Glunko map. So drop down the gravestone outside of Wraith form, put as many Bonejo pickles as you can, and just press auto and walk away for a few hours. And you should genuinely be able to get 10,000 to 100,000 Glunko kills extremely easily. The reason you're able to do this on Glunko, and still able to do this necessarily on Baba Yaga, it's just a little bit more difficult because the timer is a little bit different. Glunko spawns every 20 minutes, and it is affected by mob respawn. The Deathbringer talent, the gravestone specifically, gives you a ton of mob respawn, provided that the gravestone is down. So you put down the gravestone, it'll affect the mob respawn of Glunko from 20 minutes down to, in most cases, 2 to 4 minutes. Depends how high your talent level is and how high your other mob respawn sources are. But you're able to just click auto, walk away, and get up to 30 Glunko kills every single hour, which, if you do the math on that, 30 times 450 kills, because of Bonejo pickles, that every hour you're getting about 13,000 kills. So you're able to get a ton of Glunko kills, and Glunko has a really low HP pool, so it's less affected by Bonejo pickles. So you are able to stack a lot more BJPs on them. I don't even know why I abbreviated that, Bonejo pickles, to get a lot more multi-kill on those bosses. So, Glunko specifically. So get this up to 100k. It's not that hard, and it'll give you a multi-kill per tier bonus across all the worlds, which, again, going back to the statue grinding for Villager and Dragon Warrior, it's going to be very powerful. Okay, I went from here to talk about stamps, so let's go talk about stamps. I saw that you had basically all the normal stamps that I recommend. So you have Mason Jar, you have Crystalline, you have Golden Apple, you have Refinery, you have Drippy Drop, you have Multi-Tool, you have the Summoning EXP stamp. These are all fantastic ones. I saw you had one, or I don't know if this is bugged or not, but my next recommendation is doing Vendor Stamp, going along the same vein of talking about the Mini boss kills, if you go to this shop right here, I bought this in the last review to show, but you can actually get up to 4 bags every single day by getting your vendor stamp doubled. So I'd recommend doing that because you can get another boss to kill. That means more time candy, that means more gems for you, and also that means more multi-kill. So it's a very important, this is a fantastic one to do, and I highly recommend doing that, especially since you have, I think, 1 extra exalted stamp unless this is bugged. That's right. We talked about Owl just a little bit. Getting to 19, you're almost there at 19, considering you are at E40 feathers per hour. Your feather resets at E42, and your mega feather resets at E43. So I think in the next week, you should be able to hit 19. And then the long-term, very late goal is try to get mega feather 20. It's going to take weeks upon weeks of time for you to be able to do that, but it is a very long-term AFK grind. So this is not that hard. Just remember it exists like you are doing right now, and you should be able to hit 19 and eventually 20 very easily. Along the same vein, talking about Kangaroo, trying to get to 30% AFK gain is fantastic. So you need to get like 9 or 10 of the Mega Fish reset, and you should be able to get that. I think your point distribution here is perfect. Doing 1, 100, 1, 4, 250, these being soft caps at 100 and 250 obviously, and then putting 1 point here, 1 point here, and 4 points here for every X points you get is a fantastic distribution, and it seems like you are doing just that, with whatever points you have. So doing a great job keeping the distribution active. Okay, talking about bubbles, I kind of stopped and talked about this for a while here, but to hit the key points, you're going to want to focus on 2 things: your skilling efficiency bubbles and your multiplier bubbles. So you had fantastic Prisma bubbles. I agree with every single one that you have here, especially the Carpenter bubbles, Warrior's Rule, Archer Bust, Mage's Best. All those ones are fantastic. So specifically when it comes to your bubbles, I recommend trying to focus on skill efficiency. Skill efficiency is great because you always need atom generation to help you level up your atom collider. I saw you're also only at level 20 atoms, so you're going to need a lot more atom generation, not only to upgrade your atom collider, but also to support the the atom cost of some of these later bubbles that you're able to use the atom collider on. So I would recommend trying to pump more focus into your skill efficiency, and specifically talking about skill efficiency, the Hardy Diggy bubble, Strong Tools, Dream of Ironfish, the Molten Orange bubble, Warrior's Rule, all those are fantastic. Because these are prismed, or some of them are prismed, you're going to get a lot more effectiveness out of leveling up the Warrior's Rule bubble. So every single atom that you have, I would pump into Warrior's Rule. This will be the best bubble for you to increase your skill efficiency out of, because mining prints tend to be higher these days because of bravery, because of the Dragon Warrior statue. It's just, there's a lot going on for the Orange Cauldron specifically in terms of skill efficiency. We're able to get a ton of atom generation out of this, so I'd highly recommend trying to pump as much atoms you can get into here. Getting this like 1,000 honestly is what I recommend. Outside of that, hitting the 90% breakpoint for a lot of these bubbles is your next big thing. The name of the game for Alchemy is trying to hit different thresholds, and this is just an arbitrary number that you set for yourself. What this means, what 90% here on this threshold means, is you're hitting the 90% cap on what this bubble would effectively cap out at. So if you were, and this is not possible, if you were able to get to 100% effectiveness, the hard cap of some, like, so for example, Warrior's Rule, the hard cap of Warrior's Rule is 6.6 with the Prisma bonuses that you have available to you. So if you pump an infinite amount of levels into Warrior's Rule, this will multiply all of your small bubbles by 6.6. That is what 90% means. It takes 90% of 6.6, and then from 90% you want to aim to like 92, 95, 99% eventually, 99.99, 99999, so on and so forth. That's kind of what endgamers do. Again, this is just a very arbitrary number that you set yourself. This tool right here, this efficiency threshold, is meant for you to choose a very specific goal that you want to set for yourself. So you have to impose your own limitations here, and it is up to you of how you want to set this. And I'd recommend at this point setting it to 90% and setting it to like 92, setting it to 95, 97, 98, 99, so on and so forth, until you have, until you're satisfied with bubbles, until you feel like you've done more than enough. But starting at 90% right now for you is fantastic. So this will get you to 450, this will get you to 900, 630, and it is 270. Yeah. So doing good. Just keep on the bubble grind and specifically focus on these bubble doublers, because you've prismed them. They are very effective. And, you know, it is really good. I also kind of want to talk about Diamond Chef because people kind of talk about this, but they don't understand what 90% like means for this bubble. It is always worth it. And it is always worth it to level Diamond Chef because every single level you pump into this will give you more and more meal levels. Meal speed. So 90% for Diamond Chef is not the same kind of linear logic as the other bubbles. Diamond Chef is exponentially scaling because every single meal you have at 11 gives you a multiplicative bonus to your meal and recipe speeds. So what this means is getting to 90% of the 2.86 that Diamond Chef has, it's not necessarily worth it to stop at 90%. I would every single level you put into it is better just because of how it scales. It's an exponential bubble, so the 90% cap essentially means nothing, even though it's, you know, if you're at the point whether you want to put atoms into Diamond Chef and you haven't finished cooking, I would recommend putting atoms into Diamond Chef because you are always going to increase your meal cooking speed from this bubble because of how it scales. So, you know, Toolbox isn't misleading in this way. It is technically correct in saying this, but the way it scales makes it different from all the other bubbles. And I'm not a mathematician. I don't know how to well explain this, but 90% for Diamond Chef is not the same as 90% for like Warrior's Rule, for example. Diamond Chef just scales so hard for every single level you put into it. So if you want to scale your meal cooking speed, Diamond Chef is a great way to do it. And since you prismed it, you probably are finished with cooking at this point. But when World 7 meals come around or, you know, rear their head, this would be a good bubble to level up if you need more meal cooking speed or recipe speed for. Okay. Moving on, talked about Vials. The best way to scale your Vials right now is actually going to be doing statue farming. So Dragon Warrior statue helps scale specifically two statues here that I want to talk about. Number one being the Anvil statue for production speed. So this will help you flesh out the vial for threads and nails here. And secondly, it'll help you with your souls vials. I saw that your worship tower defense levels were also pretty low, so I recommend trying to do a little bit of worship tower defense. But the reason that Dragon Warrior statue is really good for worship here is because it increases your boost food effect. Boost food is really powerful because it scales the item called Soulable Gum that I have here. This increases your soul gain. So what you want to do is you want to go to World 3, use the MSA Miniature Soul Apparatus Totalizer that you got from gaming, use all of your soul charge onto whatever vial you're trying to get to level 13 with Soulable Gum equipped, and you know, use like deposit all to storage or whatever the button was, max all, and just upgrade the vial. So doing more Dragon Warrior statue farming is going to help you in getting those soul vials to 13. And obviously getting a higher level of worship will give you more base souls, which means that your soulable gum is going to be more effective. So getting Clash of Clans like 140, 150 is what I recommend. Our Discord has an organized tips and tricks section. It has a specific... No, I broke a pen. Sorry, I'm like fidgeting with the pen in the background and I broke it. Okay, well, I'll come back to that. I'll just set it to the side for now. What was I saying? Soulable gum, good. Clash of Clans, good. Yes, our Discord has an organized tips and tricks section for the tower defense, you know, like optimal tower defense setups. They're taken from the main Discord, a guy called, what's his name? Pancake? I think it's Pancake, who created the setups for each of the tower defenses. The only one I believe that is technically outdated because there was a change to how you actually drop the towers was Citric Conflict. I don't know if it's been updated, so this is the hardest one to, you know, level up, so I wouldn't necessarily worry about it. I think 140 is fine for you right now, and it's just going to take a little bit of time for you to get this vial to 13 anyways, so you know, I think 140 is a good stopping point. But Clash of Clans specifically, this tower defense is completely fine. It works still. I'd recommend using it, and some people are able to hit like 200 or something on this, and it's, you know, the guide from Pancake is completely fine. So I recommend looking at it to push up your waves a little bit faster. And obviously in construction, try to level up your buildings to get more tower damage specifically. So every level above 50 you get for these towers is going to give you more damage. So make sure to level up Frozone Malone, make sure to level up Stormcaller to be able to get more wizard tower damage, so you're able to progress those waves farther, so you get more souls from it. Okay, I entirely skipped World 4, I realized in that review, but yeah, I mean, max out your meals because you can, because you have Diamond Chef doubled. It's just really easy for you. You're just missing out on what? Divinity EXP, Summoning Essence gain is actually pretty good. Sneaking EXP, probably good for you. And Bit gain definitely is really good for you. Reading, your pet rate is 200. Yeah, I mean, honestly, nothing really to talk about here. Nothing there either. Okay, so I stopped and really hammered in on gaming. Gaming is definitely something you want to do because you're not at the 90Q Isotope Discovery Red Super Bit year. So the best way for you to scale your bit gain right now is actually going to be from speed. I would recommend, equally distributing your points here between sprout value and speed, because this is a base bit increase, which will be affected by all the different multipliers you have. So the snail upgrade, the nugget gain, all this stuff is going to scale by this base increase to your bits. So this is a great one to upgrade, but most importantly, sprout speed. So the reason, and I talk about this quite frequently, about sprout speed is incredibly powerful for your bit gain, and it doesn't obviously directly impact bit gain the same way that sprout value does. However, what it does is it kind of skips the tiers, your minimum evolution for your plants in the gaming window. So what do I mean by that? When you start out gaming, your speed's really slow, and you'll start out at this tier 1 plant, right? So as you get more speed, the game's code will recognize that effectively you've gone through like 2 cycles of gaming, 3 cycles, 4 cycles of gaming. And instead of it evolving at this first sprout, it'll evolve at the second sprout when you hit a certain breakpoint of speed. When you hit the next breakpoint, you'll grow at tier 3. And when you hit the next breakpoint, you'll grow tier 4, then tier 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth, right? So the more gaming speed you have, the more your minimum sprout growth is. You see here, I'm growing minimum of tier 4 right now. This is why sprout speed is so powerful in gaming, because it effectively increases the base multiplier you have for gaming. So you're able to get more bit gain out of it by increasing your speed, because it increases the base tier of the the plant that grows in this window. So instead of me gaining a fourth of the value of that, I'm getting 1 billion purple bits because I'm growing at a minimum a tier 4 plant. That is why sprout speed is so powerful and will almost always outscale the base bit gain that you get. Now, don't get me wrong, sprout value is good because you need base bit gain. However, if you're looking for an easy way to multiply that, it's going to be strictly through growth speed. And that's going to come in the form of upgrading plants grow faster from the squirrel. This is why I recommend doing this, because this is a multiplier. This is in base bit gain. So you can kind of neglect this upgrade in the squirrel, go all in on growth speed. And same thing here, you can upgrade Kitsune Roxy and try to get more faster speed. This being active on all the time is really important because it helps, it multiplies the growth speed you have inside of gaming. So this is really powerful, and I highly recommend trying to I always recommend keeping this on. There is never a reason for you to turn this off. I mean, never, because it will genuinely destroy the amount of crops you're able to grow at any given time, or sorry, the minimum tier of the crops you're able to grow at any given time. So always turn this on. You always want the speed bonus. It'll, in all cases, give you a higher bit gain than turning it off. Okay, and then I delved into a little bit about how to increase your speed here, and that came from talking about farming. So the biggest thing when it comes to you for farming is going to be through gem shop purchases right now, which you have 6,000 gems, so I'd highly recommend trying to spend those, and specifically Instagrow generators and land plots. So the reason Instagrow generators are good, it's not for the Instagrow aspect of it. It's actually this additional line that's thrown in here. Each purchase of the Instagrow generator gives you plus 20% chance at +1 crop. So this stacks with the upgrade you have here in the day market, the stronger vines. So this, you have 1 right now, so you're getting plus 20%. So you're actually at a 120% chance for +1 crop. What this translates to is you're guaranteed +1 crop. So instead of growing 1, you grow 2. And then you have a 20% chance at an additional crop. So instead of 2, you sometimes, 20% of the time, get 3 crops. And if you get that more of it, you'll get a guaranteed 3 crop, and then a guaranteed 4, and then a guaranteed 5, and a guaranteed 6. So you want to stack up stronger vines more because it can grow past 100%. And that's why you want to purchase out all of the Instagrow generators because it'll add to this. So if you get all 8, that is 160% chance. So that's a guaranteed 1, +1, and then a 60% chance at a +2. And if you have the 100% here, that is a guaranteed 3 and a +1, 60% chance at a +1 for a total of 4, right? 5? Yeah, because +3 and then the base 1, so that's 4, and then 60% chance at +1, so that's +5 total, 5 crops. So getting it to, once you have 8, getting it to like 140% will guarantee you the plus, oh my god, the math here, 6 or so. So, you know, spending more points into here and hitting your specific breakpoint is going to be very powerful. So for you right now, it's 180%, 280%, 380%, so on and so forth. But as you level it up, getting to like the 40% is when you have all the 8 Instagram generators, so getting to 140, 240, 340, 440, so on and so forth, for getting the guaranteed plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, whatever it is. The other thing I recommend in the day market is specifically trying to focus hard into nutritious soil, getting you more growth speed. When you do bean resets, getting more speed GMO up to 7%, and then from there, upgrading value GMO. So all of these are going to be very important. Because the more value multiplier you get, the easier you're going to be able to grow 1,000 crops and then eventually grow up to 10K crops to be able to increase your speed from there. Honestly, my recommendation right now for you in farming is just grow 1K of each of these crops because not only will it give you more speed, it'll also give you more evolution multiplier. So you're able to farm higher tier of the sushi crops and eventually higher tier of the mushy crops. Also, it'll decrease the speed that it takes for you to grow those crops. So it'll help you in the long run for farming because you're able to get more crops found. So I highly recommend doing the 1K grind right now because it realistically, it's only taking you 15 minutes for these crops. It's not that bad, right? Also, taking into consideration that you have 81% product doubler and the fact that you have a lot of levels into production boost and production mega boost, honestly, getting to 1K crops shouldn't be that hard for you right now. And I think you could very easily do it with the 15 land plots that you have right now. Okay. But eventually what you want to do is hard focus into upgrading night market. So you want to upgrade speed GMO to 7%. You want to get a little bit more levels of the OG fertilizer so you have a higher chance of getting overgrowth on your crops, getting higher levels of value GMO, because this is once you get to 10K crops, this will increase your value multi just really, really high for you to be able to, get 10K crops very easily. And then eventually once you get super GMO, getting 100K crops is the name of the game, because this will multiply speed GMO, this will multiply evolution GMO, this will multiply value GMO, this will multiply EXP GMO. So you're able to level up farming and get more, you're able to unlock glassy crops and able to push that even further. So that's my recommendation there. The reason I talked about farming after talking about gaming is because the more crops you find, the more gaming evo you get. And what gaming evo here is not necessarily actually evolution chance, it's actually pet speed, gaming speed. This will increase the amount of speed that you have in gaming, which, as we talked about, increases the minimum plant that you can grow in gaming, which means more gaming bit gain. So this is a fantastic way to scale it. This is kind of what broke gaming, is this upgrade for farming specifically. So there we go. All right, I'm getting a little bit winded because I've rehashed topics over and over again. I have many other videos and reviews talking about sneaking, so I highly recommend looking at previous reviews that touched on that to give you some advice on that. And because I'm winded, I'm not going to go into it, but essentially just get 10K gemstones, do Veil and Rosary, get 1 or 2 characters onto Lotus Flowers, and that's basically it. Okay, Tree for Free, I'll go ahead and stop the review there. Sorry it's a little bit shorter for you, but hopefully you learned a little bit of something and you're able to use some of that advice to progress your account. Remember to use your gems, use your call tickets, use your candy, whatever you're able to progress your account, and hard focus on trying to get the Eclipse Skulls done for World 5 to be able to get more Dragon Warrior statues. Perfect. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I just want to say as a last thing, thank you to all of my Twitch subscribers and YouTube channel members. You guys really help the channel grow and really motivate me to continue making videos. If you guys do also want to support me on YouTube, it's just $1 a month for a channel subscription at the lowest tier. You can choose to give more if you want. Just want to say that. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate your support. Have a great day. Bye.